Hi guys, welcome back to episode 7 of the Newbes podcast. I'm Samrah.
And I'm Matthew Blair.
And today we had the absolute treat of sitting down with one of our very own clients, Karlee.
Yeah, she is a special one here, kind of pulls on the heartstrings a bit. She was actually my first client that I ever interacted with here at New Beginnings.
Wow.
And she's one that I don't think we're going to be able to get rid of even if we wanted to. She's here to stay.
Not. She definitely is. So tune in. Next up is Karlee.
Here's what she has to say.
So here we have the one, the only Miss Karlee. Hi, Karlee.
Hi.
How's
Welcome
it going?
to the pod.
Good. It's good. Thank you for having me. I'm nervous, but I'm excited.
That's okay.
We're nervous too.
Yeah, our first pod, we were shaking in our boots, so you're totally fine. Totally justifiable.
Okay.
But maybe we'll get started with a little question.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you could have any quote that kind of resonates with you that you kind of live by, what would that quote be?
Okay. So my memory is not good enough for that. So I'm going to pull it up off my phone really quickly.
No, do your thing. Samrah and I literally, we're in the mirrors. We have 2 bathrooms here, and we were literally saying our favorite quote in the mirror next to each other, just trying to remember it.
Yeah,
So
I don't have
we
that level
probably
of
should have
dedication.
just done this.
Yeah.
Would have been a little easier, don't you think?
Definitely.
Yeah, I think so.
All right. So it's actually like a full poem, but I'll
Okay.
just
No,
read
go
a
off.
little bit from it.
Sure.
It's called Wild Geese by Mary Oliver. It's pretty popular. So I'm not sure if anybody has heard of it, but the first little bit specifically just really resonates with me. It says, "You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves." So I really like that part just because specifically I think what it's saying is how beautiful it is to be human.
Definitely.
And how beautiful it is to love, and what it's saying about you don't have to be good. Obviously everybody wants to be good, everybody wants to do the right thing all the time. Mm-hmm. But even when we don't, we still deserve love, and we still all deserve to love each other.
Absolutely.
And I just think there's something really beautiful about that.
Mm-hmm.
That is beautiful.
Yeah, and I think it just really shows a lot about human goodness and human love, and that's something that really resonated with me.
No, that's awesome. That
is awesome.
That blows my quote out of the water. Don't go back to episode 1.
No, I like that one because it shows the importance of just being kind and taking a breath.
Exactly.
And just giving even yourself the grace that
Yeah.
you need to kind
Exactly.
of get that clarity in
And
whatever you're
we're all
dealing with.
human, and we all share love, and I think that's more important than any other differences.
I agree, Karlee. I love that one.
You a
you.
little bit more broken in now. You're good. All the
Yes.
cobwebs are off.
Yes,
All right.
okay, I'm ready.
Let's do this thing.
Woo!
All right. So first things first, we're gonna get this thing rolling.
Okay.
When you were first kind of introduced to New Beginnings, were you hesitant to kind of utilize the supports that New Beginnings kind of had to offer at all?
Definitely. I definitely was. I've been utilizing supports like New Beginnings for my whole life. It can be really intimidating, especially when you're a youth that feels kind of alone and you don't really know who to reach out to for support.
Definitely.
It's intimidating. And when I first got the referral to the program, I kind of had a stigma about...
Just based off previous experiences.
Exactly. Just based on my own previous experience, it had never been necessarily helpful for me. So I kind of had brushed it off I'm going to do it, but, we'll see what happens. But I didn't have too much faith in it at
You weren't
first.
really ready to fully dive in.
No, I definitely had a lot of hesitation going into it.
It's hard sometimes to kind of put all your trauma into one appointment, right?
Exactly.
Or all the things you've been through that you want to talk about into that one appointment.
Exactly.
And I think that's something that kind of everybody can relate to when it comes to finding help. It is a scary thing at the end of the day.
Yeah,
Right?
for
so
sure.
the fact that you were able to do that is great.
I'm super glad that I did now.
Yeah.
But it definitely was scary at first.
I'm going to double down on that question, actually. Is there something in particular that kind of drew you to New Beginnings and actually gave you faith that it was actually going to help you in some way?
Yeah, so specifically I was looking at the career program. I had been transitioning. Yes, love you guys. I had been transitioning out of I wouldn't even call it a career, an old job that I definitely did not feel respected in. It was definitely not something I wanted to make a career out of.
Do for the rest of your life sort of
No,
deal, yeah.
it was definitely a survival type of thing. And so when I had decided that I was done with that and I wanted to move on to actually establishing a career for myself, I had brought it up to my CAS worker, and she had brought up New Beginnings. And I had never been involved with you guys before or anything like that, but she brought up this career program where I could go and you guys could help me get a job, basically. And so that's what I was interested in at first, was just like the job portion of it.
It was just strictly like employment.
Exactly.
based.
I was just like, I'm going to complete this program. I'm going to do what I have to do to get a job.
Yeah.
I didn't really see like how much more to it there was and how much more I would get out of it.
Yeah.
Like all these relationships that I've established with yourselves, with so many other of the workers here. Like I didn't realize at the time going into it how much it would lead into, if that makes sense.
No, it makes perfect sense.
But yeah, I'm really glad I did.
Yeah, you were actually the first client that I met on like my first day out on the road with Jeff.
That's true.
And that kind of just introduced me to you, and then we've been kind of tied at the hip since.
Yeah.
You're definitely someone that I see on the regular, and you've been nothing but awesome with that. So
thank you.
As much as like it's been a pleasure like to help you, I know that you also are definitely grateful for what we've been able to help you with, but I know that there's also other employees here that maybe you can even give them a shout out, because they definitely deserve it.
Oh my gosh, I'd have to shout out everybody. First of all, I'll give a shout out to Sam. She is one of my favorites, as well as you guys. We've gotten very, very close, particularly in the beginning of my transitioning into a proper job. It was really difficult for me. I had a lot of unexpected roadblocks that came with that. I had to get used to the structure, and like Sam specifically was somebody that I reached out to a lot during that time. And she was very, very emotionally supportive. Like I don't think I would still have my job, honestly, if it wasn't for her. I was a little bit of a mess in the beginning. But yeah, it's honestly like thanks to the support that I've received here that I think honestly I would say I still have my job because I had so much support in the beginning when it was so rocky.
That's a good word.
I really, really, really needed those extra hands and that extra outside perspective.
Of course. I think working in employment, the one thing that I learned was that the most valuable skill you could have is resilience and persistence when it comes to keeping your job, even if it's rocky, right?
Yeah.
And that's something that you kind of just shot out of the park with. Like, that resilience was crazy, because we went through so many, ups and downs, but it led to you developing such a strong sense of consistency and reliability, and that's a hard skill to learn for everybody. I think that's something everyone struggles with, and not to generalize what you did, but you did the damn thing. Like you went and you did it, so you should be so proud of yourself, because that was amazing.
I really appreciate that.
Of course. I'm just glad I got to witness it, because that was amazing.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So speaking of consistency and over time, in the past, there's been a lot of ups and downs happening. Aside from all the downs, what is something that you're so proud of that you did for yourself in 2024?
I know I've brought this up already, but definitely in the beginning of 2024, I was in a really, really, really bad spot. I was really, really deep in addiction. Again, I was in a job that was actively like harming me every single day. I just didn't have any sense of stability or structure or any really support in my life at all. I was totally just living in survival mode and trying to get through one day at a time. And I wasn't happy like whatsoever. And so I guess one thing I'm really proud of is I look back on where I was a year ago, and it's such a drastic difference. Like completely. I don't even recognize the person that I was before, really.
Wow.
So I'm really proud of myself for getting sober. That's one thing for sure. I've been sober for over 6 months now.
That's amazing.
So that's great. I'm very happy of myself for establishing a career. I'm proud of myself, I meant to say.
Hey, both work.
Happy of myself. Like, okay. So I'm proud of myself for establishing that. It's definitely like I said, it is like a career. I'm growing with the business. I work at a small business, so I am growing with them. So I'm really grateful to have that opportunity as well. And like there is a lot of opportunity for advancement, which I didn't have in my old job. So I'm really, really glad to have that.
Of course, yeah.
I graduated high school,
Yay!
which was really great. That had been a goal. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That had been a goal that I had had for a very long time. It took way longer than it should have.
But it happened.
But it happened.
You got it out of the way.
Yes.
Yeah.
I went to the adult education program so many times. I don't even know how many. I went and I dropped out, and I went and I dropped out. And this time I almost did drop out again. And I forced myself, even though I was working, even though I have to take care of my fur babies in my house.
Busy.
I was busy.
You had a lot going on.
A lot.
While you were doing school.
Yes.
So
I wanted to give up for sure, but I'm really, really glad that I didn't. Now I can apply to college, which is my next goal, college or university. Still deciding on that.
Either would be lucky to have.
Yes.
Yeah,
100%. Thank you. So yeah, I want to be a teacher someday, hopefully. So this job has given me an opportunity to focus on my high school, focus on my schooling, and I don't have to live in survival mode anymore. I have that routine structure. So it's a lot easier to focus on like future aspirations and future goals. Whereas I guess in one word, I would say I'm proud of myself for even having a future, because I didn't feel like I did before. Like I didn't have any future aspirations or goals for myself. I didn't even think about a year. I just thought about the next day. And now I can genuinely sit and plan out what I want for my life and where I want my life to be. And it's really refreshing.
Would you mind sharing like one thing that you're kind of setting a goal for in 202025?
Like this year in particular.
I definitely, like I said, I want to apply to college or university. So that's going to be a big one for sure. I'm very nervous for that.
Hey, we'll help you through it.
I was just about to say, we'll help you every step of the way.
You're surrounded by people that just want to see you succeed. So
thank God.
We can take you to the college or to the university. We can do it all online, whatever you want. We're there.
Awesome. That's good to know. I also want to get my license, which that's a little bit of a smaller goal.
I don't know if I'm going to drive with you.
No, I swear I took driver's ed. I'm actually a very good driver.
Oh, she knows what she's doing.
You know what? I will say, I'm going to redirect it this way. I don't want her to drive with you.
No. Our driving together, Windsor better watch out. Is all I'm saying. Check all your mirrors. Close all your doors.
We're gonna have to close down some roads.
If you don't want to drive with me, Samrah will.
Yeah, period. I will be there.
Someone's gonna need to drive with Samrah. That's the problem.
I will.
Carlee's fresh driver's ed education. Maybe I can take from it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Reiterate some things.
Yeah.
We'll be fine.
For sure.
We'll be good.
There's those two goals. I definitely want to be hopefully still working at, it's called Verellen Music Academy. I don't even know if I've mentioned it yet. Shout out.
We'll name drop.
Shameless plug.
Yeah, promo. So I definitely want to stay there in the next few years at least, hopefully.
Yeah.
I see myself still working there, which is great, and hopefully progressing there as well. Yeah, in terms of goals, I think college is the main big one right now. That's definitely
awesome.
the next step.
Very important. Yeah.
Well, while kind of staying on the topic, as being someone who was very successful in the youth employment experience program, what is one thing that you would like to say about your employer, Verellen Music Academy?
I love them. But honestly, seriously, like I said before, it was rough in the beginning. It really was. Shout out to Jackie and Joey. Those are the owners. We love them. They had a lot of patience with me in the beginning, quite a lot. I was running late. I was missing work. I was just not structured in the way that they needed me to be. And so they had a lot of patience with that in the beginning, which I really, truly appreciated, because they could have, given up and been like, this isn't going to work out.
They saw the potential.
They very much could have, yeah. And they kind of believed in me, and they stuck it out for me, which I really appreciate. I've actually developed like a really close relationship with the both of them now. Like it's almost like a parental type of relationship as well as a boss employee relationship. I feel very comfortable going to them for help or for things that I need, or like I just feel very, very comfortable.
Just to bounce something off.
Exactly. It's a very comfortable place, and I
support it.
Supportive. Yeah, exactly. That's the word I was looking for. It's super supportive, and yeah, they've like the job has changed my life, honestly. I don't even know what else to say. It sounds cliche.
No.
But working there has changed my life.
I'm sure they're ecstatic to hear that. And they already know that.
Yeah.
Like what we're saying here, you guys have already talked about probably between the three of you anyways. But it's just nice to get that sort of recognition for them, because they've worked with us, they've worked with you.
Yes.
Like, they just deserve that little shout out.
Of course. And just a little shout out to them. Like, I'm so proud of them on a side note, like, because they have grown their business so significantly in the past little bit, and I've got to watch it happen and be a part of it, which is awesome. But yeah, like in the past 6 months even, it's just grown so significantly. So I'm really excited for them about that, and I know that they're pretty hyped about that as well.
Yeah.
So I'm really happy for them. Jackie has a baby on the way, so that's really exciting, and I'm glad I get to be a part of that as well, and that the business is growing according to that. And I just feel very supportive. It feels very family-like. It feels very, very supportive. I don't know what else to say about it, really.
That's
but
awesome.
They had so much patience with me, and I'm just glad that I have the good relationship that I do with them now.
Yeah.
Just a side note, you said you were nervous before you came on here. You're going to take my job.
No, for real.
I'm shaking. Hey, I'm so nervous.
I could not even tell. Like, you're so well spoken right now.
Thank you.
I'm shaking underneath this jacket too. Trust me.
No, I'm nervous right now.
You're doing so good.
Oh, I appreciate that.
Like, it's a natural thing. We're gonna have to do like a mini series with Karlee.
Hey, oh yeah,
we might have to.
But before we kind of segue more into like the mental health and therapy sort of portion of this episode, I think maybe we should break it up with introducing our Deja Brew segment.
Ooh,
our very famous
I'm excited.
Deja Brew segment.
I know that you're an avid podcast, Newbes podcast in particular, listener and watcher. You've done your homework.
I did.
But just for any new listeners or watchers tuning in, we are going to explain what Deja Brew is, and I'm going to hand it off to Samrah for that.
So, Deja Brew is our infamous question. If you could have coffee with one person, dead or alive, who would you choose to have coffee with? And we can cheers to Deja Brew.
Cheers.
Cheers.
A little ASMR.
Yeah. Delicious. Oh, shout out for the mug. Microphone. Can I just give a little shout out to the mug?
Shout out to Zeina for the mug.
Thank you to Zeina for the mug. It is the cutest mug I've ever seen, and I love it.
Hopefully the hot chocolate in there hasn't like all settled to the bottom. I made it like 25 minutes ago.
It's beautiful. Okay. It's delicious. It was my fault.
Barista.
I was in the bathroom doing the last minute touch ups. It was my bad.
Hey, we get it. You're good. We totally get it.
All right, so back to the question.
Yes.
Who is your answer for that?
All right. So once again, I have to grab my phone really quickly. But her name is Marsha Linehan. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Marsha, we hope she said the last name right. But
yes,
I'm sure
I hope so, because I love you and I would never want to insult you. She is the creator of DBT, which is dialectical behavioral therapy.
Big,
okay.
So that's definitely who I would want to sit down with. Not only did she create the therapy that I'm currently doing, that has, again, you said we'll get into that, but it's changed my life again, like truly. So that's a huge inspiration in and of itself. But she actually struggles with BPD herself, borderline personality disorder, which is something that I struggle with as well. A lot of the people who do the dialectical behavioral therapy struggle with the borderline personality disorder. She actually came out and told her story. And she was first admitted to the hospital when she was 17. Wow. And she had basically been what the doctors classified as like a hopeless case. Ooh. She was like put in a 4x4 rubber room with pretty much nothing in it.
Yeah. Wow.
And
so that was the treatment for BPD
before all of this. It was totally stigmatized. It still is, unfortunately, but she made a huge difference in how people with BPD are treated. And she was pretty much told by the doctors, like, she's a hopeless case and we're gonna release you from the hospital and you're probably not gonna survive. And like literally locked up in a rubber room, 4x4. She said this herself, like banging her head off the walls, crazy.
That is so dehumanizing.
She felt so beyond help. And that's just a feeling that like I relate to a lot. Is I, in my most like desperate, depressing moments, I do sometimes feel like maybe it's just I've been through so much that it's just like I'm too far gone and I'm just beyond help. Obviously I think that's something that everybody can relate to.
Once you start like the self-sabotage like, train of thought,
gosh,
it's hard to get out.
That spiral is so it's
dark
just really
and scary.
Very scary. So it's just really inspiring to me that she started off in that place, you know, and I've been there too. I've been hospitalized before, and she was just in such a horrible place, and she was basically told that she was hopeless. And then she came out of it and created this therapy that has changed millions of people's lives.
So many people, like BPD is one of the most difficult mental health issues to deal with.
I would say for sure.
Of course, a lot of them are really, really difficult, but BPD is the one that now they don't have too much research on how we can kind of go about living a normal life with BPD, because every day is just so much.
Exactly. And Marsha was one of those people who made such a big difference in how DBT was looked at and how it was researched. And she's just such an inspirational woman to hear that, like how bad of a place she was in and where she's at now and the difference she's made for other people.
Wow.
I would just love to know how her brain works. I just want like a psychology lesson from her. I just want
100%.
You know,
and that's probably the best person to try to pick your brain about.
Exactly. So
we have to reach out to Marsha.
We might.
I would love
season 2.
Oh my god,
Marsha and Karlee.
I would go crazy.
Hey, I'm putting it on my to-do list.
Marsha, if you're seeing this,
we want you, Marsha. We need you here.
Well, cheers to Marsha.
Cheers to Marsha.
That was
what a queen. Cheers.
And kind of staying on that topic, here at New Beginnings, we really tried to preach therapy and the importance of therapy. So what have your experiences been with therapy, and do you believe it's kind of had a positive impact on your life? I know you just recently touched that like DBT potentially has like changed your course of living and coping, but like I want to kind of hear more your personal experiences on it.
Yeah, well, I've been in therapy pretty much for as long as I can remember. It started off as like simple counseling when I was little, and then once I turned about 13, I went into psychotherapy, like just one-on-one talk therapy, and I was in that up until I was about 18, like a very long time. Sorry, interruption. I was in that for a really long time, and I just found, and apparently after doing some research, this is pretty common with people with BPD, that the talk therapy wasn't really benefiting me in any way. I was talking so much about my issues, but I wasn't actually learning the skills to deal with said issues. Like you can only talk about it so much.
Was it kind of like, now that it's up, what do I do with
exactly
it?
Exactly. Like I would spill all this on the table and then kind of just walk out.
There was no strategies or anything
provided. And don't get me wrong, like my therapist that I had her for years. I adore her. She was a really, really great source of comfort for me, especially when I was living at home and I just needed that outlet to just talk. That was great. But once I moved out on my own, I kind of needed more than that.
Needed that next step.
That next step. I needed something more than to talk about what was going on. I needed to actually work on what was going on. So that's where the DBT came in. I've heard about it forever. I've heard that it's like this godsend of therapy for people with bipolar, people with BPD, even just anxiety and depression in general. And for years and years, I just heard about it. And it was like this far off idea, amazing thing that I was just waiting and waiting and waiting for. And I finally got into it. And again, like so cliche to say, but it has changed my whole entire perspective on my life. Like basically the way the DBT skills group works is that you go in and each week they give you a new skill and there's different modules. So right now, for example, we're in the distress tolerance module, just the ability to tolerate distressful situations without making them worse, as well as just accepting reality as what it is. And they go in, they give you different skills for different situations, and it's just very interpersonal. It's very reflective, and you walk out and you feel like you have a plan. Like next time I'm in a conflict, this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah, you kind of mentioned that one time when I picked you up from one of your sessions there. You said, I kind of wish that I had DBT my entire life, because it's like the handbook that helps you with each situation that you're struggling with.
I've always said it's like a cheat code to life. Like it literally is. They go, situation A, B, or C. And you're like, okay, well, this is situation B. Okay, well, here's what you have to do. It's so straightforward, and it takes something so complicated like mental health, and it makes it so simple, which I think is like, has been life-changing for me, because trying to tackle your mental health without breaking it down is just insufferable. It's impossible, you know? It's so much at once. But once it's kind of broken down into simpler areas, if that makes sense, it's a lot easier to digest the information. And
the fact that you can take that skill and like apply it to real life, right? And you're almost catching yourself when you're spiraling, because you're like, wait, hold on, where can I DBT? What can I do? Where can I place it? How are we going to use it? And just the reinforcement is so strong, right?
For sure. That's amazing. I do find myself on a daily basis checking in and going,
good,
you know, my DBT skills, like this is,
that's awesome,
you know. So it definitely is a day-to-day practicing thing. Like that's what our counselors tell us in DBT. They're like, you have to go home and practice these skills every single day.
I was just about to ask, do you find that since there has been a simplicity aspect of it, you get to kind of be like, this situation, this skill, do you find that you have used these in like personal situations?
Yes,
like, you do 100%. Find yourself relaying back to them?
100%.
Oh, that's
like
great.
One thing specifically that they taught us was to avoid the word but, and it's such a simple thing, but instead of, I just did it. Instead of saying, I feel upset, but blah, blah, blah. You say, I feel upset and da, 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 da. And it's such a simple little thing, but it's made such a big difference for me in like my communication with other people, and how people interpret what I'm saying and how they receive like what I'm telling them.
Because now you're not contradicting what you said with the but. You're almost validating it, justifying it, and putting it out there confidently. And that's huge. That's
and
awesome.
Like another thing they had us do was called the dime game, and it was for how strongly to ask for something or how strongly to say no to something. And when I say it's like a cheat code to life, they literally give you 10 questions, and they go, imagine you have 10 dimes, answer these 10 questions. Let's say you end up with 60 dimes at the end. It goes, ask strongly, or say no strongly, or ask semi-strongly. Like it's literally a formula, like a mathematical formula on mental health. It's crazy. Like it's been such a drastic change in my life for me.
That's awesome.
I think a lot of people, when it comes to therapy, like we said, they kind of bring it up and then you're stuck with it and you're alone with it. So for somebody who's very like maybe A-line, like they really need like a structured plan to really kind of follow through with progress, that could be a great resource.
I recommend it to everybody, not even just those who are diagnosed with BPD. Like I truly think that if every single human on the planet did DBT, they'd be better for it.
That's
like
awesome.
It's truly.
I'm going to start stealing your homework.
You should. I think everyone should do it. And I've
been the table DBT.
And I've been trying to teach the people in my life too about what I'm learning. And it's just, it's so interesting. And it's just, like you said, like you go to therapy, you bring it all up, then what do you do?
Right.
And I feel like that's something so many people relate to. So if you do relate to that, I would 100% recommend DBT for sure.
Thanks for sharing that, Karlee.
Of course.
Think it was super important to get that inside, like actual somebody who's using DBT. Their outlook on it is so real and so great. And I think we all needed to hear about DBT.
And I've even had people in my life tell me they've noticed the differences in how I'm communicating, how I'm dealing with stress, all these things. Like people are pointing out to me that they can see a difference.
And
so
what a stamp of accomplishment, right? Like now it's happening. It's real. It's in time.
It's good to see the progress.
Into practice for sure. That's awesome. So Karlee, to kind of wrap things up here, we're actually gonna go back to we've only been able to actually use this once, so this is pretty great. We're going to hit our Youth Matters segment of the season, which is called Main Character Energy. Cool. So for anyone tuning in who hasn't heard this one before, it is, if you could switch places with any character from any movie or TV series, who would it be?
My answer, okay, this one is a little less, this is a good way to end it, because it's a little less deep than what we've been getting into.
It's like watching a funny movie after a scary movie.
Yeah, exactly.
We love seeing that smile, and I know everyone watching is going to love to see that smile too, so we'll end it on a fun note.
Yeah, I would switch with Coraline. She is my favorite movie character. Coraline is my favorite movie. I know, obviously, she goes through not a good journey, so you might be wondering, why do you want to switch with her? I relate to her so much, like so much. Just, she's a little girl and she doesn't get paid enough attention to. And all she wants is somebody to pay attention to her, you know? And that's kind of like what that's how she gets into that whole situation. She just wants someone to love her and care about her, you know? And I was like exactly the same as a kid. Like, there's the one scene in the movie where she's exploring the house for the first time.
Right.
Her dad says to her, "Oh, this is such an old house. Go explore it. Count the windows, count the doors." And so she goes and she explores the house. And it just, like, it's like watching myself as a little girl. Like, she's just so explorative. She's so curious. She's just like going around all alone. And I relate to that a lot. And I relate to her curiosity and her want for like personal socialization. Like, she wants to be loved and cared about and paid attention to, which I think everybody does. But I just relate to that a lot. And on a side note, something less deep, I just love the aesthetics of the movie. The aesthetic
of the movie.
It's like I love the soundtrack. I love the Pink Palace. I love all the characters. I've watched it 1,000,000,000 times ever since I was a kid. Yeah. I would love to explore the Pink Palace as well as Coraline. So.
And I know something that might differ from Coraline, but you mentioned how she was constantly seeking that love and that reassurance. I know over the last course of the year, you have been working on some self-love, which is super important. And I know that has been something that you've been working on and that you've been successful with.
Yeah.
And I think that's just important for you and for anyone else watching or tuning in, that loving yourself is just extremely important, and finding that self-love is something that's hard to do, but something that you have to work towards and something that you should prioritize.
Yeah, that's what I've been working on currently the most, I would say.
That's awesome.
Like, self-love, and also just learning to exist as a soul person and not needing not necessarily needing an attachment or a second or a anything, you know, just you as a soul individual and existing and loving yourself and just living as a soul person, if that makes sense.
No, it definitely does.
Like, it's important. So
that's amazing, Karlee. You got to tell yourself you have every right to be as where you are, as big as you are, and take up that space, right? That's amazing.
Thank you.
It has been an absolute pleasure, one, to be your youth and transition worker, two, to have you on the pod.
Thank you.
And I look forward to this journey that we're going to take, the three of us, see where that goes over the next few years, because I know we got you for at least a couple more.
Oh, yeah. You're stuck with me for sure.
But thank you so much.
Of course.
I'm sure that everyone is going to be super excited to tune into this one.
I'm excited to tune in.
And as your employment worker, I'm very excited that you're employed.
Well, thanks.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Just straight up. Just glad.
I'm just glad
you got a job, man.
For you,
Thank God.
And on that note, thank you for tuning in to this episode, and we look forward to next one.
Yes, we do.
You.
Thanks, Karlee.
Awesome.
Well, thank you guys so much for watching episode 7. We had such a good time, and we learned so much from sitting down with Karlee.
She is quite the advocate for therapy, specifically DBT, and that's something that I've been dropping her off every Wednesday at the 500 Sutherland building on Olette. And you know what? I've been dropping her off, and I didn't quite know too much about it, and I'm glad that she elaborated on it today on today's episode.
We hope that you guys learned as much as you could, and we hope that you guys reach out to something DBT, so maybe something similar, and get, the mental health that you deserve. Yep. And we just want to thank you for joining in. Check us out on YouTube, Spotify, Instagram,
Facebook.
And we'll see you on the next one. Don't be new
to the Newbes podcast.
Bye, guys.
See you later.